Welcome. I'm Pastor Keith Sharp at Coastal Hope Retreat in Antipolo, Tuburan, Cebu, Philippines, where Jesus meets us in healing and hope. I need to tell you something I've never said quite like this on camera before. For years, I was a frustrated missionary. Not frustrated with God, and not frustrated with ministry, frustrated with a gap I couldn't explain and couldn't close. I'd watch people, sincere, believing, Bible-reading Christians who were saved but not free, forgiven but still bound. They knew the right answers. They were genuinely trying, and they were still stuck. And honestly, I was one of them. I knew my theology. I loved Jesus. I preached the gospel faithfully. But there were wounds in my own soul, patterns I couldn't break, fears I couldn't shake, places where no amount of prayer, discipline, or sincere effort seemed to reach. And that bothered me deeply, because Jesus didn't promise that kind of life. He promises something better. So I started asking a question that made some people uncomfortable. Why isn't it working? Not why isn't God real? I knew He was real. Not why isn't the gospel true? I knew it was true. I began to see something I had somehow missed, something hiding in plain sight in Scripture. We don't just have a soul, we are soul. The real you, the you that thinks, feels, chooses, loves, fears, hopes, that's not your brain. And here's what hit me like a freight train. If I am a supernatural being, then my wounds are supernatural wounds, not just psychological, not just behavioral, not just habitual, supernatural, which means they require a supernatural solution. And that right there explained everything I'd been seeing for years. We were trying to heal supernatural wounds with natural tools: willpower, discipline, positive thinking, behavior modification, accountability groups, better sermons. None of those are bad things, but you can't put a natural bandage on a supernatural wound. You can't outthink an infection that lives deeper than your thoughts. You can't outdiscipline a corruption that was there before you were born. This is why sanctification feels like frustration for so many believers. Not because God is withholding, not because they're not trying hard enough, but because they're using natural tools on supernatural problems. And natural tools, no matter how sincerely applied, cannot reach where the wound actually lives. This discovery sent me somewhere I hadn't expected to go, into the healing literature. I started reading everything I could find on Christian healing ministry, the ancient church fathers, the Reformation, the revivals, the modern healing movements, and what I found stopped me cold. This wasn't new. The early church understood this. The apostolic church practiced this. For centuries, healing ministry, real, personal, Jesus-centered healing of the soul was woven into the fabric of Christian life. Francis McNutt, one of the most careful, scholarly, biblically grounded voices on Christian healing, documented extensively in his landmark book, Healing. Agnes Sanford, Leanne Payne, John Wimber, a whole cloud of witnesses across church history who recovered what the modern church quietly abandoned. And the question I couldn't escape was, what happened? How did the church that turned the world upside down, the church that healed the sick, set captives free, restored the broken, become a church that mostly manages sin and waits for heaven? How did we get from if the Son sets you free, you'll be free indeed? Free indeed, present tense, real freedom now, to a Christianity that offers forgiveness today and healing someday, maybe in eternity? Something's been lost, and I needed to know what it was. And what I found changed everything. John 8:36. I want you to hear this carefully. If the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. Not if God sets you free, the Son. Not if the Spirit sets you free, the Son. Not when you get to heaven. You will be free. Present, real, now, the Son, Jesus. Specifically, personally, presently. This is what I discovered, and once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. Jesus isn't just your ticket to heaven. Jesus isn't just a historical figure who did amazing things 2,000 years ago. Jesus isn't just a doctrine to affirm or a name to invoke. Jesus is your present healer, active, engaged, personal, powerful. The God-man who stepped permanently into human flesh, who still carries scars, who still intercedes, who still says to you today, wherever you are carrying, whatever you're carrying, come to me. He hasn't gone anywhere. He's here right now as we speak, and he has something for you that no therapy, no discipline, no sincere human effort can provide. Healing. Real healing. Soul deep, supernatural freedom that sticks healing. Because if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Keith, this sounds beautiful, but how does this actually work? How do I encounter Jesus as my personal healer? What does that look like in real life? That's exactly what I want to show you in the next video, because this isn't just a nice theological idea. This is a pathway, a real, practical, biblical pathway that leads you from being stuck to being free, from saved to healed, from knowing about Jesus to encountering Jesus personally as your healer. In the next video, I'm going to give you something specific, something you can do, not a program, not a technique, but a simple, clear invitation directly from Jesus to you. And if you accept that invitation, everything changes. So don't stop here. Don't let this be just another interesting video you watched. The next video is where the rubber meets the road, where the discovery becomes the decision, where you step from understanding what I'm saying to experience what Jesus is offering. Click that subscribe button right now so you don't miss it, because in the next video I'm going to ask you a question, and your answer to that question might be the beginning of everything you've been longing for. This is Pastor Keith from the life-giving shores of Coastal Hope Retreat, Antipolo, Taburan, Cebu, Philippines. The healer is here, and he's been waiting for you.